Good afternoon. It is Saturday. This is the East Coast Dragon Lady coming to you on a wet Saturday here on the East Coast. I hope everybody had a good week. I've had a mixed, interesting week, I guess I'm going to say. There's a couple of topics I want to talk about. So I will, and then at the end, I will pull some cards for this week. But while I was just getting ready just now, the dragons have been very active for me this morning. They were talking to me. Their favourite place to talk to me is in the shower, and I got lots of it was information for me. But interestingly, they said as I sat down to pull a card for a theme, and this is the magenta dragon. Enables you to bring forward your soul's wisdom, awaken your soul memories and higher spiritual understanding, prepare for accelerated ascension. And this was a dragon that I first started working with quite a few years ago when I first encountered dragons, and I named him Bodhi, and he's the magenta dragon. I think I pulled him last week or the week before. One of my favourite, magenta dragon. So that's our theme, is soul awakening, and so a lot of that is about me. But as I always say, when I learn things, and also my dragons are going, so when I learn, they learn, and we've been on a learning journey, because interestingly, they're actually admitting that dragons, even though they're very knowledgeable, highly intuitive, loving, caring protectors, that my dragons are talking about themselves, but in general, that's what dragons are here right now to do. There are some things that they are still learning, and I think I shared a couple of weeks ago that my experience with thinking I was going in one direction, something really significant happening, which was now as it's unfolding. Apparently I wasn't ready and the dragons weren't ready to understand what it was, but the more that I've sat with it and done some work with it, it was a huge, and I'm going to use the word attack, an astral attack, with hundreds and thousands of, and some of you may know what I'm talking about, but astral parasites that were there to stop me, literally stop, which is what it did. It stopped me in my tracks, to the point that then it brought up all my old self-doubt feelings. And I talked about that quite a bit a couple of weeks ago. So I'm learning that about that, and I've talked to several people about my experience, and every time I'm using the term people, but I'm often told, oh, but you're really good at this. Oh, but you're really good at this. Oh, but you're good at, whether it's communicating with dragons, whether I use it to become as a medium, whether it's channeling information. I am good at it, but it's not reflecting in, I've had a healing practice online, basically, for many years, and it's not happening. So, yes, I'm good at it, and I keep asking, what is it that I'm supposed to do with these gifts? Because, or they're not gifts, I'm waking up to memories, so I've always been that. And always it comes back for me, and like a lot of us that are here experiencing, is that we're beacons. And so the message I got from my dragons this morning was, stop trying to be like everybody else. Stop trying to get out there when that's not what you're supposed to do. So it's sort of something that I've probably known, but again, we tend to go with what we think we should be doing, other people think about it, all that stuff. So they actually told me not just take a step back, but take a step back even further and observe. And they're telling me, again, you're the beacon. You're here with light. You're a very bright beacon, very grounded, very connected. And what they're suggesting is that I put that out there. So that energy, which some of you may be feeling now, is, it comes from the galaxies. I'm very connected galactically. I'm very rooted in Mother Gaia, and offer my services as a consultant, is what they're saying. That I'm to be the elder with the elder wisdom, but to consult. Around all things spiritual, of course, but mainly around people are struggling these days with their mental health. And when I say mental health, that can be as simple as anxiety, which is very dysregulating for people, depression, PTSD. A lot of people are suffering with PTSD, especially since COVID. Younger people, eating disorders, depression, anxiety, school refusal, all of that stuff, right through to the very significant mental health challenges, schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, bipolar disorder, mania, all of that stuff, that spectrum. I have submerged myself in that field for many, many years. Not my choice, as I've shared before. I have a nursing degree. I worked many years in England in the community as what was known as a district nurse in England, but a visiting nurse. We were very, in the 80s and early 90s, we were very advanced in terms of nursing people at home. We went to where they were, we nursed them. So that was my specialty. When I came to this country, it was not easy to transfer my nursing degree, this was in the early 90s, to this country without taking extra work. And then I couldn't get on the courses because I wasn't registered. It was just a mess. So I stepped away from that. And something that I didn't think I would step into was the mental health field. And that was because my children started to suffer with mental health struggles, bipolar disorder, OCD, PTSD eventually, all of that stuff. So I've lived it, and I work with it now. I work in the Department of Mental Health with families, and I'm stepping into that in terms of like supporting families. I've been again backed off because I took a job overseeing a lot of things, but I'm starting a support group which starts on Tuesday for parents who have children that may have a psychotic disorder or hearing voices, seeing things, and how scary that is, and to help them work through that. But in my role as a spiritual leader, for want of a word, that's just what's coming to me, I also know some of the things that can help spiritually. I've worked with my son for quite a few years to get him to a place where, and it's still a daily struggle, but for him to be clearer, and very simple steps. And that's what I want to consult on. So I'm putting that together now. I've also had, interestingly, some Egyptian deities step forward, and one that has stepped forward a few times for me. I'm going to see if I can't find it now. Oh, yeah, here it is. Because I have post-its everywhere, because when this stuff comes through, you don't always have time. Sekhmet. She is a powerful goddess of war, destruction, and plague and healing. The goddess with a lion's head, sun on her head, and red linen. And what I heard her say was, she's been with me many years. When I first stepped into my journey of remembering, because it was a memory, I remembered a lot of things about Egypt. I now know with my galactic heritage, is what I'm going to say, that I was probably there when, as we call them, aliens or extraterrestrials, were also in Egypt. And we know that, and that's a whole nother, probably a whole nother YouTube. So these deities are stepping forward, which makes me happy. I also got my, I mentioned my new crystal, or it's actually here. I did post it on Facebook, but this is my boulder opal. And this was the golden dragon that stepped forward, and then she's actually in here. You can't see it from there because it isn't that big, but there's a gold dragon right in the middle. So I'm wearing that because that is Sierra, and she stepped forward to as an Eastern dragon. I don't have any other Eastern dragons, mine are all Western dragons, but she stepped forward as a powerful, again, I've got these powerful dragons sort of stepping forward, and Egyptian deities. So before I go any further, I can, as some of you know, I can talk for a very long time about dragons. I will talk again at the end about their message. I think I mentioned a few weeks ago that my arthritis had flared up, and I was really struggling to get relief. That I'd started with acupuncture, and at the same time I also decided to re-look at my diet. I'd mentioned before that I'm gluten and dairy free anyway, but I had been a little bit lax in sort of letting a few things go. So I've really focused, I want to say it's been 3 weeks now, on an anti-inflammatory diet, so increasing my good fats, so increasing olive oil and avocados. Now I have to be a little bit careful with avocados. I like them, they don't necessarily like me, so I am using them maybe once or twice a week. It was one of the quite a few things that my body reacts to, so I'm sort of taking it under advisement using avocados. But I love avocados, but they can sometimes have the adverse effect, especially if you're allergic to them. So I found that I'm actually feeling better because I've lost a few pounds, because you know, the more extra weight that we carry, the harder it is on our joints. I missed my acupuncturist was sick, so I missed a week. So I'm still catching up from that. My hands have been the worst affected right now, especially my thumb joints, which is hard when you're writing or typing. But I think it's passing, and certainly the increase in good fats helps. It also helps your heart, it helps your whole body. So if you're feeling it this time of year, I find it definitely in the damp. So again, we've got wet weekend, which was a repeat of last year. My brother and his wife were here this time last year, and I think the whole 10 days they were here was wet and cold. So it would be nice if we could have a little bit more heat and not so much rain, but apparently we're in a drought. I don't know, we had so much snow this winter. I have no idea why we're in a drought, but there we go. So that's that part that I wanted to talk about. If you are on my Facebook page, you will see that I've been talking about neurogenic art. So I actually Googled it before I came on because I know what it is for me. So neurogenic art is the therapeutic abstract drawing technique developed in 2014 by a Russian psychologist that uses free-form lines to calm the mind, reduce stress, and reframe inner thoughts. It is a simple, mindful practice that creates a visual language to connect the subconscious with the conscious. And it really is. So I'll show you. So I actually paid for a couple of classes, and this is what I produced yesterday. So it literally started off, and then the circle was our solution. So this was money based, or wealth. I thought it wouldn't be any harm to take a wealth neurogenic art, because I wanted to get the science behind it. And there's a lot, if you Google neurogenic art, there are a lot of options and a lot of people offering, reduced classes. But I thought, let's take it and see where it goes, because I see this as something that is really helpful for people that have mental health challenges. I'm going to try with my son this weekend, hopefully this afternoon. We're going to do some. I believe, and I want to see how it works for him, that people that are troubled with voices, and not just voices that when we channel, these are intrusive, psychosis, all of that stuff. And oftentimes they need to get out of their head. And the quickest way to do that is to do the scribbling, and then focus on, because it's actually making new neuro pathways. I was shown it as art, and what I found, and I think I said this last week, I didn't realize that I was anxious until I started to use it. And I've used it especially if I'm in long meetings, and often I can feel frustration rising in me about certain things, and rather than it coming out of my mouth, I've been putting it, like, I might have already done them, I'll color it, but it's surprising how refocusing it is. And that's what I'm hoping that will help people that have got anxiety, even depression. I mean, oftentimes you need to get out of your head if you've ever suffered with it, and I certainly have. I had postpartum depression, and then I had a horrible period, I can't remember how many years ago, which actually put me in the hospital for a couple of weeks, just because I think I got exhausted, and just, then when you're that exhausted and your body's drained, sometimes your brain does weird things. But I learned a lot from that. I did a lot of DBT. I did EMDR, which I loved because I didn't have to talk about it. I didn't have to find, well, what caused that? Or why were you thinking that? Or I literally got it out. Some of it is tapping. I loved the journeys. My therapist at the time used to take me on like meditative journeys, and my favorite was stopping at a train station and offloading my baggage. So it was like you emptied your mind into a safety, mine was a big tank that we put a lid on, and then when I was ready, I could take some of it out. I didn't have to name it, but what I liked was on those journeys, that when we got to a train station, she was like, do you want to drop off some luggage? And sometimes it was all of it, and sometimes it was like, well, maybe I'll leave these this time. But it was very freeing. So if you've ever thought about EMDR, a lot of people do it. They have like tapping things here. You can do it yourself. You can learn how to do this. It's sort of a way of de-stressing. But I wasn't even going to talk about that. But I think that with this neurogenic art, it can be applied to so many areas. And one of the things I'm excited about is how can what I want to do is bring this to a practice where I can offer that, because people that need that need to learn how to self-soothe. They need to learn how they can be in control, not anybody else. And oftentimes it's easier to say, do it for me, rather than learn how to do it. So that's where I'm coming from, but from back here, remember, not here. So I think that's all I want to say about neurogenic art. So the last thing I wanted to say was that this morning my dragons were actually very angry with me. I would say stern. I mean, they weren't like raging at me, but I had been putting aside some of the messages that they had subtly been giving me, and today they were very, very clear with me. And what I want to say from that, and this is my message from the dragons, is always, always listen to your dragons. If you don't have dragons, it applies to listen to your guides. Listen, especially if you have soul guides. Well, we all have soul guides, but if you know your soul guides, the same thing. Mine just happened to be dragons. I actually have galactic soul guides, which I've talked about, but these were my guardian dragons, and they were like, okay, you're not getting it, so here's the download. If you do X, Y, and Z, it's going to end your life. Now, I've only had warnings like that a couple of times, and one was when I was physically I hadn't realized how unwell I was. It came on very, very quickly. And I heard a voice, and I said it was the voice of God. I think it was probably a dragon, but it was a booming voice in my bedroom that said to me, Barbara, if you don't get yourself to the emergency room now, you will die. And I thought at the time, wow, that's a bit over the top. That's my sort of humor. I'm going, whoa, didn't think I was that sick. When I was in the emergency room, because I listened, I mean, I knew I wasn't well, but I didn't know what was wrong with me. And the doctor, after sending me for a CAT scan and listening to my symptoms, walked into the room and said, I hope you realize if you hadn't have come when you did, this would have killed you. I nearly fell off the gurney. I was like, whoa, I've just got full body chills. I'm like, well, I need to listen to those voices, right? Not the voices that say, if you don't, and that this is the warning they gave me today, is you need to step away from, and if you do that, they, whoever they are, well, I know who they are after you. Because I am a very bright light, a very powerful light, which is probably why as well my vibration is extremely high. Maybe I'm too much, well, I know. So I've often said I'm too much for some people, but you only attract the people that are supposed to come to you. So I trust that, but I trust the dragons. And when they say not just step back, we need you to step back, that means step back. But the one thing that they shared today, and I've not heard this before, but my son's dragon, Xavier, said to me, you know that he isn't doing any of the things he's supposed to do. He's not grounding. He's not talking to me. So I was in his room, reminding him, and he gave us this, because my son used to say, oh, I've got roots like this going down. And what he showed me was, imagine you're an oak tree and your roots go out, all the way out, as far as you can, as far as you're comfortable. They're the ground roots. Now from those, all the roots go down and connect, and then showed me this beautiful black gold shimmering center, which is Mother Gaia, which is like a molten gold black, and then sink your roots into that, and then if you're comfortable with that, ask for that elixir to come all the way back up all of those roots and then into the tree or into you, and see that going all the way up through your body, right, and bathing you in Mother Gaia. And I was like, that is beautiful. I mean, I've done the grounding, connecting to the core, but I've never thought about looking at us, especially if you're struggling with grounding. Think of yourself as an oak tree, which is strong and powerful, but needs deep, deep roots. But a lot of the roots go out on the surface first. And I'm not sure, I know pine trees have a central Um, and I'm thinking, so this is just the vision they're giving me. I think for oak trees, um, they're spread out for stabilization. And then the roots have to go down from there deep into Mother Gaia, because remember, they nourish Mother Gaia as we do. So that was the message for everybody today, was listen to your dragons, listen to your guides, listen to the advice they give you, because they really do know what is best for us. And every time we ignore it, we're just making it more difficult for ourselves. That's the message I'm getting from them. It's not, and they're saying we're human, so of course we're going to do that. But if you can fully trust your guides, your angels, your archangels, all of those. Um, oh yes, and the other thing, that's, so they've just reminded me as well. So then my son said, "Oh, but my chakras are all out of balance," because he's very perceptive about what he needs. And I said, "Oh, well, you need to call in your own chakra dragons, and ask them to balance your chakras, because again, he's got to learn to do it, because his dragon says, I can only remind you, but I need you to connect with me." So we thought that, I said, "Oh, that they'd be multicolored." So then he said, "Oh, you mean all different colors? You mean like psychedelic?" And I said, "Oh, actually, you're right." And I said, "Actually, they look like psychedelic zebras." And then I realized they were unicorns. So he brought in these multicolored unicorns to correct his unbalanced chakras. They were sort of all out of line, to bring them back into line. But he had to call them in. I could see them, but he had to call them in. So I thought that was pretty neat to have multicolored or psychedelic colored unicorns. So, of course, leads me to, I got some unicorn cards. So I thought, let's see what the unicorn's message is for us, because they showed up for a reason, and that's why they actually wanted me to bring a message through today, which is also to call on them. They are very similar vibration to dragons. I honestly haven't had a lot to do with them. I've had unicorns pop in. I've seen them. I know I've got unicorns around me. But my dragons, I have a lot. I mean, I have collectives of dragons. So they're saying they're always available to all of us. And they're saying the same thing. You don't have to do much other than ground yourself and ask for them to appear, or to give you a message. Or they're saying, or ask me to give you a message. Openings. Flight. Oh. These interesting messages. And birth. So this is, remember, we've got the magenta dragon here, which is about to bring forth your soul's wisdom. So what I talked about this morning was from my soul. Then openings is a new door is opening for you, and that is a beautiful white unicorn on the other side of the door. Flight, let your creative imagination fly. So if it's a damp, wet day where you are, do some art, do something creative, because let it fly. That's what I'm planning to do. We're going to have lunch, and then we're going to do some art this afternoon. And then birth, be receptive to new ideas, child or situation. So it's about birthing new ideas. So then I thought, let's go to the divine goddess, because they've been some beautiful cards this week. And then to get out of my head, you see, this is why. Oh, raise your vibration. So I thought raise your vibration would be a good cards to pull for the end of the week. I've avoided the news, or I don't watch the news anyway, but a lot of the things that are flying across the internet I'm avoiding. It's just like diversion tactics as far as I'm concerned. Like now there's a virus that isn't even really a virus. It's rat infestation. Like really, they have us on a lockdown. So mind you, other than gas prices, let's not even get started on that. It's like it goes up every time I look at it, right? And it's across the world. I don't think we're feeling it like other countries yet. So, Catherine Labour, the patroness of miraculous healing. I am ready to heal. I am worthy of the miracles meant for me. So we've got the same thing about doors opening, creativity, and new ideas. And that's an interesting one. Some of these I can't even say their names. Saraswati, goddess of self-knowledge. The essence of who I am flows effortlessly into everything I create. So this is a week of creation. And Dakini, enlightened feminine. My gut instinct is wise beyond reason. I trust my intuition to guide me. So that is an extremely good message for all of us, right? I actually posted something either today or yesterday about trusting your gut, because it's never wrong. Even if it takes, sometimes it takes a few weeks or even longer before, or you get the answer straight away. It isn't worth ignoring your gut. So let's see what we need to do to raise our vibrations this week for this upcoming week. There is my high vibes heal the world. My high vibes heal the world. So, you've heard me say this before, as we heal the world. So it isn't selfish about doing your own healing. My light attracts light, so the same thing, right? If we are that pillar that I just talked about, it's safe for you to shine. So it's safe for us to shine. I'm feeling one more for the week. So my high vibes heal the world. And that isn't really exaggerating. If you think about what I was talking about connecting with Mother Gaia, help heal her, help keep her vibration high, then that in turn will help heal the world. So there's one more. I am protected by Source. So Source energy, you can call on Source energy anytime. And Source can be anything that you believe in. It can be your higher power, if it's God. It can be the light. It can be whatever to you is a higher power. It will protect you, as will your chosen guides. We're very, very protected, and I think sometimes we all forget that because we're human. That's the message I'm hearing. They're going, well, you're human, and you were programmed to forget. So even though a lot of us are waking up, it's the program that's running. I don't even know where this is coming from, but I'm being told it's the program that's running within all of us, which was for amnesia. So as we're a bigger threat because we're waking up, I'm channeling this. Who's this coming from? So this is coming from, I don't know, I'm hearing the galactic mothership. All right, can you be more specific? They're saying they are the galactic mothership that oversees, so this is another hierarchical thing. They are the mothership that oversees the other ships, and they're saying they're not just ships in terms of spacecraft. These are floating universes. They're self-contained, like they don't understand Earth at all, but they're concerned. That is why when they can channel information to us, they want us to know that they are watching as we wake up. And it's a similar to message I got before, is they see us as bright lights. Those of us that are shining bright. See, now my voice is crackling, so this is truth. We are bright lights to them, and they see our lights getting brighter, but it comes with responsibility. It comes with understanding that as we're waking up, we're more of a threat to the darker energies, and therefore we need to do better protection. This is a general message. It's not saying you in particular. We need to be better with our protecting ourselves, which includes grounding and a shield. They're saying shields up, which you've heard me talk about before, wrapping ourselves in a golden light of protection. That can be Metatron's suit, or just visualizing gold protection. Gold is very high frequency, and actually I'm hearing burns, the darker energies get turned away by that color. So visualize that. They're saying that's why the golden dragon appeared to me, to help with more protection. So it sort of comes as a warning, but also to say that there are many galactic ships. There are many colonies on these ships of multiple healers, multiple beings that their life's mission is to heal. And if we get hurt, once they recognize us, they can quickly help us. They can come to help us. But all I'm getting is the mothership. I'm seeing, actually it's like a big golden dome, not just this shape, but a complete ball, I guess, but like two domes. And they're saying there's a top and bottom to that. Oh, it's beautiful. They're a mixture of races, and they're like, it isn't important who is here, just that they're healers, and we can call on them. That some of you may be getting messages from them, or have already received messages from the galactic mothership, and they're saying they are not here to do harm. Oh, it's all about the all right, I haven't even looked at that, the UFO disclosure. They're basically saying it's not really true, that that's just another diversion. All right, so they're going, what is being disclosed is another diversion tactic, that they're saying only believe what you see in your mind's eye. And they're very vivid projections that they're sending me, and they're saying anybody can tap, anybody that can get their vibration high enough And that means you've got to be grounded, and not just grounded once. They're saying you have to practice grounding. Once you can raise your vibration, so they're saying, oh, you want what level? They're saying above 12th dimension. If you need to know that, that once you get above the 12th dimension, it opens up and it's not as difficult. So going through all those dimensions, we're 3, 4. Once you get to 5th, but getting to 12, some people it's easy, and they're like, you don't even have to know. I don't know. I just go there. So interesting. So they're saying just listen to yourselves. Don't believe all you see, because they're false images. But we are running programs. Like our bodies have been programmed to forget, and the more that we remember, the harder the program works. They're not showing me any solutions other than grounding, grounding, grounding. They're calling it earthing, which is another way of grounding, but they're saying you need to earth yourself, because if you're not earthed, the more earthed you are, so this goes to what we all know, the more in nature you can be, the more out of the city lights, they're saying, the more you can connect with the natural nature of Earth, including fairies, elves, pixies. Make those connections, the safer you are, because the programs are not run for that. So the way we were programmed when we entered Earth, they didn't account for us being able to connect with other vibrations. That's interesting. So I'll be interested to know if any of you have been getting, this is all new to me, but it's something to do, and I hadn't even thought about this UFO. I've ignored it because I'm like, it's just more, now we're going to we're going to tell you all about UFOs. No, that's not true. It's bullshit as far as I'm concerned. That's not what the Galactics are saying. They don't even know that word. But yeah, so what we've always known is the more in touch with nature, the more in touch with ourselves, the harder it is for the program of amnesia to run. And it's an old program, and they haven't, it was for that reason that we chose, because this is, I believe, that Earth is an experimental planet, and we came here to understand whatever our agenda was to come to Earth. We chose to come, our soul chose to come, and we chose to take on the bodies, our families, our parents, everybody we engaged with is all part of what we scripted. But and then, because it was an experiment, there was a program that was for us to forget. So the minute we took our first breath, as we came out of the birth canal, and our first breath, we were our memory was wiped clean, because other extraterrestrials remember all their lives. Oh, my cat is here, let me know. Probably I've been on too long. 44 minutes. Now I've got onto this whole other thing of galactics. Because I'm saying the Egyptians are coming forward, or the Egyptian deities, but I forget that some of my first encounters were with the galactics. So I'm getting a nod, and they're like, there's much for me to share, as there is much for me to share from the dragons as well. So they're saying I have a good balance of galactic and dragons, and galactic dragons. Right, not so much dragon ETs. They're going, no. And the dragons are going, no, no dragon ETs. There's a lot of other similarities. But yeah, so they're laughing now. Okay, so I'm going to end now because otherwise we'll go on for another hour. But interestingly, when I get in the flow of some of these things, of what comes through, and so I'm going to end by saying I'm grateful for the connection today from, actually it's a council, as it always is, a council, the Council on Extraterrestrial Experiences. Okay, but this comes from the mothership. And when I asked what mothership, they said, we're the mothership. We're the mother to all the ships. So high frequency extraterrestrials. And they're saying I can connect with them frequently, and to remember that they're there to help. They're not to be feared. They're saying any experience you have, with the good ETs, so this is about good ETs, I can't vouch for the other ones, that a lot of times people fear them because of movies, because of how they've been depicted as wanting to harm, which is a scare tactic. Always was like, oh, if you see an ET, shoot it down. No, we want, if they're coming here, they're being very brave. I don't think we're going to see them just yet, but just knowing that they're there. I mean, if you live in Hawaii, and I've got several friends that live there, I mean, they see UFOs or EFTs. EFT, yeah. Those, they're seen all the time. So this isn't a myth. This isn't something that I've just plucked from the sky. And I forget that one of my first channelings was from extraterrestrials. Actually, it was from Commander Ashtar, that I believe exists. Not everybody does, but a lot of people have had contact with him. A lot of people have feelings about whether he's good or bad, but certainly for a connection for me and getting me to understand what was happening, it was very helpful. So I'm going to end there, even though it's been nearly 50 minutes. I'm not even sure what I'm going to title this, but hopefully if you enjoyed this, please share it, because the more you can share and like and subscribe, because I always forget to say that, the more we can get. I do this because I enjoy doing it. I do it because I want to get that information out there. If it's something I'm experiencing, then so are other people. So I hope you have a good week. I will post these on Facebook, the cards for this week, and now I've got hiccups, so we know we're coming to an end. And we know that there have been high vibrations here. So we started with the magenta dragon and we ended with a message from the mothership, and from the Council on Extraterrestrials. Okay, so have a good week. I'm sure something's going to come up this week. If it does, I will be in touch.